ISIS stands for Intermediate System to Intermediate System, and it's a routing protocol that was created by the International Organization for Standardization, the ISO, as a replacement for OSPF. It was thought that the OSI network model would replace the TCP/IP network model, but we all know how that worked out, right? The version of ISIS that we use today is called Integrated ISIS, as it is able to operate on the OSI CLNS network model, or on IP, or on both. And in OSI terminology, a router is called an intermediate system. Therefore, intermediate system to intermediate system actually means router to router protocol. It's actually pretty similar to OSPF in some respects. It's a link state protocol. It uses the Dijkstra SPF algorithm. It elects a designated router, which is called a DIS. It uses hello packets to maintain adjacencies, but that's about where the similarities end. If you're not used to it, then IS to IS addressing might take you a bit by surprise. ISIS uses a network entity title or a NET address to identify the router, and we're only going to be looking at these in terms of IP. To configure ISIS, we must enable it on the interface and configure a NET address on one of our interfaces, usually the loopback 0 interface. The NET address consists of 4 parts. The address family identifier and the area ID are often joined together, but setting 49 as the AFI means that it's private addressing. And we're going to stick to 49 for now, and then change the area ID as needed. Then there's the system ID, which must be unique throughout the domain and can either be an IP address or it is sometimes configured as the MAC address. Then finally, we have the N selector, which has a special meaning in the OSI stack, but for IP, this will always be 00. This is the topology that we're going to be using. We have 2 routers connected by interfaces GE000 on the 172.20.20.0/30 network. R1 has an IP address of 192.168.100.1, and its GE00 interface has a MAC address shown on the screen here, and the same for R2. So these are the 2 routers here. Now what I'll do just a basic ping to make sure we've got reachability. Ping 172.20.20.2, which we do. Alright, so let's continue with the configuration. The first thing that I need to do is make sure that ISIS is enabled on all of the interfaces that we want to advertise. And in our case here, it's the loopback interface and the GE000.0 interface. And to do that, I just say family. And when you do a question mark here, you can see all the families that can be enabled. The family that we're looking for is the OSI ISO protocol here, which is basically ISIS, family ISO. And also for the loopback. And what I will do here, I'll do something a bit different actually. We're going to put our AFI. We know that our AFI is 49. Our area is going to be area 1. For this side, I will make it the IP address. So 192.168.1.0.0.1 and an N selector 00. Okay. And then we're going to advertise those 2 interfaces under the IS to IS protocol. Set interface GE and also the loopback. Let's commit that. Alright, and let's jump onto R2. And before I begin, what I will do, I will just get the MAC address of the GE000 interface. And what you find is that with IS to IS, you could either use an IP address or you could use a MAC address or even any hex address. that is the IP address I'm looking for. So I could complete the rest of the configuration. So we've got 49.0001. This means that R1 and R2 will be in the same area. Let me paste this MAC address. I will have to change the format. That 00 and get rid of these colons now. And then advertise these under the protocol. And we can see under the loopback that we have an IP address configured, but we also have an ISO address configured, which is our net address under the loopback. And this net address, rather than using an IP address as a system ID, it's using a MAC address as a system ID. Let's commit that. Run show ISIS interface. We can see that these are the two interfaces that are advertised into IS to IS. I think if it says O2, that means that that will be the DR for that segment. So let's just have a look on R1. Yeah, so this is the DR for the segment. It's not actually called a designated router, it's called a designated intermediate system, which is a DIS. Let's say run show ISIS neighbor. No, it's not the neighbor, sorry. It's run show ISIS adjacency. You'll find that the terminologies are sometimes a little bit different. And we can see that our neighbors are up on both level 1 and level 2. And we'll be explaining these in the next video. And the last thing, which has a lot of useful information, is if we run a run show ISIS overview, we can find out the router ID, which is the loopback address which is configured, and the route preference for the internal links, the route preference for our L2 links, and also whether wide metrics or narrow metrics are enabled. And this is a lot of information to find out, so this is just an overview, but we're going to go into a lot more details in our next video. So I'll catch you in the next one.